on the news, outrage over an unprovoked attack. A young Asian woman falls victim to more senseless violence. News emerging that she herself tried to stop hate crimes in the city. Plus, Mayor Eric Adams scolding the media, claiming he's being misrepresented after his failed attempts to get Albany to budge on his anti-crime agenda. Then COVID cases are plummeting. But can New Yorkers finally say good riddance to the pandemic? And he'll soon be America's youngest bishop.
We got to stop saying, but it's his fault, but it's her fault. You know, at the end of the day, we need to step it up right now.
Father Jay, the powerful voice blazing a new trail into the hearts of young people. I'm Christine Persichetti. Current News starts right now. The homeless man accused in the brutal murder of a woman in Chinatown ordered held without bail during his arraignment. Meanwhile, we're learning more about the victim. And while it's unclear if this was a hate crime, fighting Asian hate crimes was a cause she took up. This incident has Asian Americans in the city once again on high alert.
We talked about how we're together on keeping our city safe.
Mayor Eric Adams traveled to Albany Monday to plead with lawmakers to help him fight the violence plaguing the city. But it seems his calls to roll back the state's bail reform law are falling on deaf ears. This just a day after the brutal murder of a Manhattan woman allegedly at the hands of a homeless man who was free on supervised release.
It's happening every time you turn around. The news is showing yet another victim, and it's hard to catch a breath.
35-year-old Christina Yuna Lee was stabbed more than 40 times after being followed into her Chinatown apartment early Sunday. While it's unclear whether Lee's race or ethnicity played a role in the attack, the killing conjures fear, all too common for Asian Americans and women everywhere.
The guard is up all the time, and it's been for a while.
It could have been me. It could have been anybody in the building.
Prosecutors say when police responded, the alleged killer was inside the apartment, speaking to cops through the closed door, pretending to be a woman and telling them to go away. It took over an hour to get into the apartment. By that time, Lee was dead. Investigators say her 25-year-old Asamad Nash was found hiding under the bed.
You didn't kill her because she was Asian?
I didn't kill nobody.
Despite a long history of arrests, including one for a violent attack, in a criminal mischief and unlawful escape case in January, bail wasn't set, so Nash was back on the streets. City Council member Julie Wan says the rise and intensity of crimes against Asians come as little surprise. She blames an increase in homelessness, a strain on mental health services, and China being blamed for the pandemic.
There's a vulnerability there and a sense of perceived weakness towards Asian American women and Asian American seniors that perpetrators tend to be pulled towards because we're seen as easy prey.
Nash has been charged with murder, burglary, and sexually motivated burglary. If found guilty, he faces life in prison without parole. The Manhattan District Attorney's Office is currently prosecuting 33 anti-Asian hate crimes, 4 times more than the previous year. The NYPD also recording a steep spike. 524 incidents of anti-Asian bias occurred in 2021, almost double the 265 from the year before. Mayor Adams is suggesting race is playing a factor in news coverage of him. The city leader going on a rant following headlines of his failed bid to get state lawmakers to budge on his anti-crime agenda.
My story has been interpreted by people that don't look like me. We got to be honest about that. How many blacks are in the editorial boards? How many blacks are determining how these stories are being written? How many Asians? How many East Indians? How many South Asians? Everybody talks about my government being diversified. What's the diversification in the newsrooms?
Mayor Adams also threatened to stop fielding off-topic questions at news conferences. Meantime, New York Governor Kathy Hochul is touting new COVID numbers, saying in just a month, New York has achieved the lowest case rate of any major or large state in America.
That is a 97% drop just since January 7th. This is only February. I mean, that is an amazing drop. I don't think we could have foreseen that. We prayed for it. We hoped it would happen, and it actually did happen.
Governor Hochul says these numbers are some of the lowest since late October. Still, the governor says it'll be more than case numbers that'll change her mind when it comes to the school mask mandate. That decision, which will include a multitude of factors, will come on March 7th. But as more states loosen their restrictions in the coming weeks, the CDC is taking a closer look at guidances and considering changing their advice. Karen Kaifa has the latest from Washington.
As governors across the country from both parties ease mask mandates, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said new federal guidance could be coming soon.
If and when we update our guidance, we will communicate that clearly, and it will be based on the data and the science.
Despite the drop in the number of COVID-19 cases nationwide, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said federal decisions will put another metric in focus.
We must consider hospital capacity as an additional important barometer. Our hospitals need to be able to take care of people with heart attacks and strokes. Our emergency departments can't be so overwhelmed that patients with emergent issues have to wait in line.
Masks in schools for kids is another area where federal officials are cautiously watching the data.
I know that they are very carefully reviewing the information. I think CDC's job is to make sure that schools are safe and that kids can be in school around the country.
Public health experts say optimistic trends aren't a reason to let up yet.
The game clock is still ticking. We can't afford to pause, and we can't afford to stop playing while the movement is still in motion.
An ensemble forecast from the CDC published on Wednesday predicts a decline in COVID-19 related deaths over the next 4 weeks for the first time since late December. In Washington, Karen Kaifa, Currents News.
Top health and human services officials are asking for an additional $30 billion in COVID funding. The money will go towards vaccines, treatments, testing, and other pandemic preparedness measures. In a statement, an HHS spokesperson says, quote, "These resources would help us continue expanding the tools the country needs to stay ahead of the virus and help us move toward the time when COVID-19 will not disrupt our daily lives." A new study from the CDC says pregnant mothers who get the COVID vaccine have babies with a reduced risk of being hospitalized with COVID. According to the research, the later mom gets the shot, the better your odds. If you get the jab later, you have an 80% chance of protecting your baby as opposed to the 32% chance early on. The study also found the newborns were protected for the first 6 months of their lives. Russia's military released video of what it says are tanks and other military vehicles being moved by train over a bridge in Crimea, and that they are withdrawing troops from the region. But Western leaders are skeptical and asking for proof. This as lawmakers on the Senate floor say the U.S. should waste no time in helping Ukraine prepare for war. Russia currently has more than 150,000 troops near the Ukrainian border. With the tensions in Ukraine at an all-time high, people are looking to protect their families, and the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops is looking to do their part. This year, the USCCB has announced plans for an Ash Wednesday collection that will help people fleeing the region. Most dioceses take the annual collection in their parishes. Ash Wednesday is on March 2nd. The Diocese of Brooklyn has released some guidelines in preparation for the Easter season. All Catholics 14 and older should abstain from eating meat on Ash Wednesday and on all Fridays during Lent. Those 18 to 59 are bound to fast on those same days by limiting oneself to one full meal and light sustenance in between. And the faithful are obligated to receive Holy Communion at least once a year and are therefore encouraged to celebrate the Eucharist and penance during the Lenten season. Just in time for the Lenten season, Our Lady of the Miraculous Metal Church in Ridgewood has a brand new stained glass window. The art replaces a nearly 100-year-old piece that was blown out by Hurricane Isaias in August of 2020. The church was flooded with donations from around the country and was able to replace the $80,000 in damages 18 months later. The new window, which includes the Immaculate Heart of Mary, was blessed by Brooklyn's Bishop Robert Brennan last weekend. And you can find that story and more in this week's edition of The Tablet. You can pick up a copy at your local church, or if you'd like to get it delivered straight to your mailbox, just head on over to thetablet.org and click subscribe. Also happening around the Diocese of Brooklyn, parishioners are being asked to speak up about what they want for the future of the church. It's part of a synod process started by Pope Francis that hopes to reach lay Catholics around the world. In Brooklyn, reaching everyone means meeting them where they are, and for some, that's online. Here's Jessica Easthope.
Very important themes of journeying and being companions together.
They're questions designed to bring about change. Some the church has never asked before. Who do you think is in charge? How can the church work better with other communities of faith? And now they're in digital form.
They're going to be asked basic questions that would be asked of any Catholic right now who wants to have a voice.
As the global synod process has gotten underway and parishes have started listening sessions, leaders in the Diocese of Brooklyn are realizing the people they need to reach most are not the regulars.
Do not let ignorance.
Sister Marianne Seton LaPiccolo, who's leading the diocese's synod efforts with Father Joseph Gibino, says often they're people who have never come to church and might even feel unwelcome.
We want to hear from the people who don't come to the building called the church. We want to hear from people who don't feel welcome. And really, those are the voices that are going to change us.
That's why the diocese is meeting people where they are. DeSales Media Group, the digital and technology arm of the Diocese of Brooklyn that operates Net TV, has created a digital synod. It starts with videos explaining the topics of the synod, hoping to make people feel like their voices matter, and puts the questions posed during parish listening sessions into an online survey.
How is it that we can be a more welcoming, if you will, a more listening church? So we're trying to use technology to help us listen.
Anyone with an Android, iPhone, laptop, or internet connection can scan a QR code or follow a link and participate. A motivation for the digital synod has been the need to reach young people.
Their world is a digital world. You know, everything is online, and everyone will have access to it.
People can complete the 10-topic survey all at once or in parts and save their answers. The digital synod is launching on February 27th in time for Lent. Jessica Easthope, Currents News.
Like Jess said, the synod is launching for Lent, but the Diocese of Brooklyn is encouraging people to register now online at dioceseofbrooklyn.org/synod survey. And Thursday on Currents News, Brooklyn's Bishop Robert Brennan will join us for the latest on the synod process, what he's heard from the people in the pews, and what he thinks the future of the church will look like. That's tomorrow on Currents News. And there's a lot more news headed your way. It's a priestly promotion. One priest from the Bronx is about to become the youngest bishop in the United States. And a little girl rescued. The suspects charged with the abduction of Paisley Schultes appear in court for the first time. And honored for his heroics, the NYPD promote the young officer who shot detectives Jason Rivera and Wilbert Moore as killer.
There are now some big changes to the tablet website. You can get personalized access to the Catholic news you value. Sign up for free at thetablet.org.
Not a bad song, right? Well, what if I told you the rapper you're listening to will soon be the youngest bishop in the U.S.? Father Joseph Espaillat, or Father J as he's called, has been named an auxiliary bishop for the Archdiocese of New York by Pope Francis. And he may look familiar to you. He's been on Net TV before helping us with papal coverage, and now he's joining us again. So welcome back, Father J, and congratulations. What went through your mind when you were told Pope Francis named you as auxiliary bishop?
I thought it was a spam call, actually. Truth be told, I received 6 phone calls from Washington, D.C. On my day of rest on Monday. So it was Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I didn't pick up the call because I thought it was spam. So when I actually picked up the phone call, it was very shocking.
Yeah, I guess so, especially that you are going to be the youngest bishop in the United States. But I have to say, I love your music, and I've been checking out your podcast, Sainthood in the City. I want to show our viewers a clip.
Okay, I entered the seminary when I was 13, and being Latino, growing up in the city,
I was your average city kid. However,
you went on to say that you didn't fit the mold of what people thought a priest should be or look like, and it cracked me up when you talked about listening to Snoop Dogg in the seminary. But you really know how to connect with young people. I know you previously served as director of youth ministry, so you could be a key to increasing vocations. Is that a role you've taken on?
Oh, absolutely. Vocations is very important in all aspects of church life. And it's something that I plan to continue to work towards for the kingdom of heaven. It's something that I've always had a love for, getting young people to consider the call that God might be calling them to become a priest, to become a deacon, to become a religious sister, religious brother, and also holy vocations to the married life and the lay state as well.
Yeah, and you received that call early. You were just saying in your podcast you were 13, so you knew young that you wanted to be a priest.
I didn't know exactly at 13 that I wanted to become a priest. I considered the call. It wasn't until like after college, really, that I knew for a fact after the spirituality year that the Lord was definitely calling me to become a priest. I was open the whole way. So when I was 13 years old, I saw this image of Our Lady, the Vobis in Matrem, and it was a draw. I felt some peace and comfort when I saw this image of Our Lady, and I applied to high school there. I didn't even know that it was really a seminary. I didn't understand what that was at age 13, but I was open to that, and praise God, he took the steering wheel.
So talk about how important technology is, like your podcast, for evangelization.
It's very important. You would understand that at current news. It's critical for us to reach the masses right now. It's critical for us to reach the young people, to evangelize in new ways. The new evangelization must involve technology, must involve social media in some way, shape, or form. And it is a way for us to do it. And during the pandemic, if we're really honest, a lot of priests went online. Priesthood said, "Oh, I'll never do that." And guess what? You had to transmit the mass online to reach God's people who could not be in churches. So it is a means. It is a way that we have to tap into as church and see and utilize in the right way.
All right, so one quick thing before we go. Everyone here at Currents News was talking about how you're a bit of a sneakerhead. Yeah, we noticed the kicks you were wearing on the podcast, and as a mom of boys, it's all about the sneakers. So when did you get into it?
I always, growing up in the city, I always had an inkling towards getting the latest kicks and the latest sneakers. It was about 7th grade when I got my first pair of Nikes, like flashy. I remember that I got them towards the end of the school year, and for the whole summer, I put them in the box. And then when school began, I brought them back out because I didn't want to crease them and I didn't want to dirty them. So probably like 7th, 8th grade, about that time. But I couldn't afford them at the time either. So it wasn't until later that I was able to afford a pair of Jordans.
Yeah, I have that argument with my kids all the time. I'm like, they're too expensive. We'll get you the knockoffs.
Right.
Father Joseph Espaillat, Auxiliary Bishop-elect from the Archdiocese of New York. Good luck with your new ministry.
Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Hi to everybody at Currents News.
So nice. An NYPD super rookie made detective Tuesday. Officer Sumit Sulan receiving his promotion for his brave work while answering a domestic call in Harlem that ended in the deaths of officers Jason Rivera and Wilbert Mora.
He is an example that police officers are ordinary people called upon to do extraordinary things, and they often do.
During the Harlem incident, Sulan shielded the shooter's mother and brother from harm and effectively took out the gunman. He had been on the job for only a few months at the time. Detective Sulan's shield number 332 is said to symbolize the three brothers from the 32nd precinct. The three suspects charged in connection with the abduction of now 6-year-old Paisley Schultes are making their first court appearance Wednesday. It comes after police located the young girl in a makeshift room hidden under a staircase in a Saugerties home Monday night. Paisley was reported missing back in 2019 when she was just 4 years old. She has now returned to her legal guardian and has been reunited with her older sister. And another family is celebrating a reunion for Steve Stiegel. His heart has been in Mexico for the past 4 years. Now, after jumping through several hoops, he's finally been reunited with his wife. As Brian Johnson reports, the Stiegels are thanking God for this long-awaited homecoming.
Welcome back. These are the regulars at the Blue Line Hockey Bar.
Right now, my dream has come true.
We finally got her back, honey. Customers Letty Stiegel knows well.
Glad you made it.
She got home in time for Valentine's Day and her husband's birthday.
Just to have her back for these occasions, you know, just going to the grocery store, anything. We're best friends. We love each other.
She and her husband take nothing for granted. In 2018, Letty was deported for a DUI charge nearly a decade earlier. She had lived in the U.S. for more than 20 years and had a legal work permit.
It's been hellish. It's been a nightmare. We've been ran through hoops. We've been delayed.
As the bar's general manager, she worked remote for 4 years.
I can feel the bar's energy that when she walked in, the bar is even just happy to have her back.
A taxi driver drove her and her dog back into the U.S. She calls him an angel.
I'm a believer, and I believe in God, and I know things happen for a reason, and He has gave me the chance.
Friends and loved ones celebrate. The family drove 14 hours straight home.
The signs when we saw Kansas City getting closer and closer, it gave us more juice just to keep going.
The American dream is the moment when I cross the border with that visa. The freedom to go back and forth.
Cheers.
That is the American dream.
That was Brian Johnson reporting. Letty missed her daughter's high school graduation and many other momentous occasions. But despite all that, she says she is focused on the future and her family. Still to come on Currents News, religious sisters from Higganum, Connecticut take to Twitter to cheer on a hometown Olympic hopeful. Plus,
what was going through my mind was that I want to make something comfortable for all kids.
you'll meet the 8-year-old designer who has a passion for fashion. Do you have a story idea or want to share a tip? Email us at newstips@desalesmedia.org or call our 24-hour number, 718-517-3122. We'll be right back. They're up early, not just for morning prayers, but to cheer on a native daughter. The sisters from the Apostles of the Sacred Heart of Jesus near Fairfield, Connecticut, got together with their neighbor on Friday to rally for Olympic speed skater Kristen Santos. Their neighbor just happens to be Kristen's stepdad. The sisters called her an awesome kid. Kristen placed first in both her quarter and semifinal races, but finished 9th overall in the 1,500-meter short track. Kindergarten went from 5 to 100 real quick. Children in the Diocese of Brooklyn are marking their 100th day in class by dressing up as grandparents. In Dyker Heights, the students at St. Ephraim Catholic Academy were encouraged to dress up as if they were 100 years old, complete with wigs and all. Some even went out of their way to dye their hair gray. Probably just some powder, I would think. From old school styles to fresh new looks, one young designer in Missouri is making waves in the world of fashion. Meet Camden McGraw, an 8-year-old who has a passion for fashion. So much so that he entered a national design competition on the clothing website Zulily and won, giving the young boy a chance to design 2 different lines of children's clothing for both boys and girls.
It was kind of hard to do, but what was going through my mind was that I want to make something comfortable for all kids.
He would have never known that this is something that he could do if he wouldn't have given it a shot.
Wow, so talented. Most of Camden's designs are already sold out on the website. Now they're asking him to design a back-to-school line of clothes. How exciting. And that is Currents News. I'm Christine Persichetti. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.